Hey guys, welcome back to our day 81 post-surgery update. Did do a weigh-in on this one. We're down another 0.2, so we're moving a little bit slower lately, which nothing wrong with that. It's still going down, so happy things, happy things. I don't have a lot of different things in regards to food yesterday, but one thing I did want to talk about a little bit is, it's probably something I talked about a while ago, but still something worth talking about, especially for anybody that's just kind of thinking of starting this process and has kind of made that decision that this is something that they want to do. And whether you're in Manitoba and you're going through the process like I went through, or you're in another place, I mean, every program is going to have some different rules, but some things to keep in mind that you're going to probably want to start working towards that will likely be requirements for you is definitely making sure that you're getting exercise in, especially walking. Like, walking is a big thing. So you want to be hitting minimum of 5,000 steps a day. That gets you above that kind of sedentary level. But realistically, like for our program specifically, they wanted you upwards of 10,000 by the time surgery came. So this doesn't have to be 10,000 a day. It's just kind of looking at your average weekly and having that be at 10,000. So whether it be that some days you're doing 10, some days you're doing 7, some days you're doing 12, whatever it takes to get you to that average of 10,000 is kind of what you're looking to be doing. Now, this doesn't all have to be done at once, so don't go from like 3,000 to 10,000. What I did pre-surgery to get there is I just started increasing by 500 a week. So at the time I was probably doing 4,000 steps a day. So I increased it to 4,500, and then once I hit that consistently, I hit it to 5,000 and then 5,500 and so on and so forth. And if I had a week that I didn't week it, I redid that week to get to that point, and then I added the 500 the following week. So don't beat yourself up if you have a week where you don't get your goals. Just work at it again and try again the next week. The other thing is, if, again, you're going to have days that are going to be lower. You might have a day you're not feeling great. You might have a day that you're busy and you're on the go and you just didn't have time. So don't worry so much about those single days that don't hit it. Just like I said, take an extra day to get over so that you get to that point that you still hit the average for the week. In terms of food, start getting yourself in a mental state to be eating a little bit longer. Plan to take, half an hour, 45 minutes to eat a meal. Don't rush through eating. Obviously, that's not always easy. Even now, sometimes I find I'm like, holy crap, I ate way too fast. So make sure that you're really taking some time for yourself to eat as much as humanly possible. Obviously, for some people, that's not always easy. My job doesn't really allow for that, especially on busy days like today. So, I mean, that's going to happen, but just do your best, okay? That's all I can say is do your best and try. Nobody's going to fault you if you have a day. Make sure that you're chewing your food very, very, very well. You're going to have to chew your food down to a very small point once you have your surgery. So, I mean, they recommend like 20 to 30 chews per bite. Do your best to get to that number. Even now, some days, like I said, especially, and this is where rush eating comes in. If you're eating too fast, you're not going to chew properly. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen people lately that I notice it, where I'm like, holy crap, you took like 5 bites and you swallowed. Like, that's not good for you. So make sure that you're chewing your food well. Don't just like, num, 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 done, num, 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 done. And keep in mind that you're not going to be able to drink water. So if you're doing that, a lot of the time people will like eat their food like that and drink to help get the food down. You're not going to be able to do that. So start kind of getting used to not being able to drink water while you're eating. And if you're like me, your program may require it for 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after. This has to do with the digestion process and not making the food pass too quickly that it can't get the nutrients in your body that your body needs during that time. So just make sure that you're giving yourself some time when you're eating slowly, taking lots of bites, and not drinking while you're eating. It's going to be some of the big things that you're going to want to do. And then leading up to surgery, ideally, if you can work out, that's great. Post-surgery, I think they recommend up to like between 150 and 300 minutes of physical activity a week above and beyond your walking. The other thing that I learned post-surgery is that if you're not hitting 10,000 steps a day, but you're doing workouts and all that kind of stuff, that's also an okay thing, because you're still getting your movement, and you might not always get your steps tracked when you're working out, but you're still moving around. So try not to stress as much about hitting that 10,000 if you're having a day where you're doing like a 45-minute exercise, right? As long as you're still getting a decent number, that's not necessarily the end of the world. So don't stress about that. I'm just trying to think back to like my notes from before surgery and kind of the things that I'm doing now. Eventually post-surgery, sorry guys, I'm getting tired. Eventually post-surgery, they don't want a lot of your food sources coming from like protein supplements. So for example, protein shakes and that kind of stuff. So definitely make sure that you have some foods that you're going to like post-surgery that are high in protein, and make sure that you're really focusing on your protein. That's the other thing. Make sure you're focusing on your protein, getting that 60 to 80 grams, if not more a day, figuring out how you're going to incorporate snacks into your diet as well. And there was something else that came into my head and it totally left my brain. But yeah, getting that protein in, and and something again that I learned very recently is like at the stage that I'm at, I was never under the impression calories mattered, but I guess they do. So they want you upwards of like 1,000 to 1,200 calories by the time you're kind of where I am, which is 2 months post-op. So not that that's a big deal, but just something to keep in mind. Because nobody ever mentioned calories to me until my nurse appointment the other day. And I was like, what? Pourquoi? So anyways, something to keep in mind. But otherwise, guys, I think that's all I got for you for this one. Just some little tips and tricks to kind of help kickstart and get your motivation going. And that can really help you expedite your surgery, especially here in Manitoba. But I'm sure a lot of those tips will be transferred to other provinces and locations as well. So thanks again for watching. If you got questions on the process, make sure to throw them in the comments and like and subscribe. Till the next one. Bye, guys.